Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to have everything set up in about 2 seconds, and I really appreciate your patience. I'm going to start projecting. And we're going to take a look. We're going to take a look at the Auto Trader system. Now, if you would just give me 30 seconds, I would really appreciate it because we had a guest today in the office, and that person's just leaving, and I'm going to start in literally 30 seconds, and I apologize. Just hang on 30 seconds. Okay, we're ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the strategy of our auto traders. Now, I'm going to show you the conservative strategy. Then I'm going to show you the inputs. We have a conservative strategy and we have an aggressive strategy. Now, I want to start off by saying that all the material that I'm going to be presenting is for demonstration and educational purposes only. Everyone understands that trading the markets is associated with substantial risk, and that you can lose a substantial amount of money. Never trade. Manage your portfolio very carefully, asset allocate carefully, and never trade more than you can afford to lose. So I want to show you in real time exactly what the system is looking for to take a trade. I'm going to show you both the conservative and the aggressive strategies. Now, the conservative strategy is really quite conservative. And what it's looking for is today we moved the MA diff. Now, and I'm going to show you what the MA diff is. This is really the only way to determine an overbought or oversold market. It's the space between the 50 and the 15 right here. Now, we move that to 13 points from 11 points. The NASDAQ right here has an MA diff of 6 points. So you've got still an appreciable amount of space here you can go before the trade would be taken. Now I'm going to go through all these numbers individually, but here's what you need to take a trade. You need the following. Just let me change this a little bit. I'm going to need, now today's a bad day because I know today was very choppy and very flat. Now here's a great place to look. Now you're going to need an 11 tick wick right here. Now I'm not going to try to scale. I'll try to scale it. That's an 18 tick wick. So that would be a trade. You have the C2 indicator, and I'm not going to be going through what the indicators mean. And in addition, you have this RL trend above the 15 EMA of an EMA. Now the setting on this stays at 7. The input on the conservative strategy is 7. You're going to see that on the aggressive strategy, it's 15. Now, it will not take a trade within the 1/2 standard deviation above or 1/2 standard deviation below the 50. We consider this where the market's going to chop. We left that mid band in there, but it's really irrelevant. For demonstration purposes, I can take it out because the system is not looking at it. It just doesn't want to take a trade in what we consider to be, that price just adhering to the 50, moving up and down, up and down, up and down. So now, because the Bollinger Bands are created, I believe, off of an SMA, and our 50 is an EMA of an EMA, we're never going to get exact symmetry on both sides of this 50. But it's going to do it. It's a decent approximation, and it's going to keep you from taking a trade right in an area that really is hazardous when you get that market that just hugs the 50 and is just simply a chop market without any volatility to launch price up. Now, we saw that this was a potential trade. MA diff was good. C2 is good. Now the trend, it appears to me to be above the 15. The entry would be 1 tick above, and this would have taken the trade all the way up until that 15 changed color. So that would have been a 41 and a quarter point trade on the NQ. Now, I don't know if it was executed. We can look at all the numbers later. I just want you to see what the system is looking for, and afterwards, I'll take any questions that you want. Now, this is going to be the most conservative strategy we have. I think we had the MA diff a little too tight, was constraining it. We loosened it, and up we go. Now, the system does all the management for you, obviously, as you know that. As the space between the trend and the 15 widens, means that volatility is increasing. When it goes yellow, you got a big problem. And you can see as soon as that 15 turned red, you're out of the trade. So you capture most of the move. Now, it's not going to take a trade into any pivot, any support or resistance. Now, here's another, no, so you don't have the C2 here. So there's no trades. That's what makes getting a trade on the conservative system so tough, but also makes it so likely to, and here's a trade that was taken. It entered here, and it got stopped out on the wick. We've eliminated that. That's a problem that we have taken away, and you're not going to be able to get stopped out on this wick. Now, see, the entry was here, and the wick actually went past the entry. And it's hard to see how this trade actually evolved, but it's got stopped out, and it should not have. And whatever issue there was here, this has been taken care of. So this would have evolved into a very, very nice winner. Right to here, where this 15 turns green, it would have been a 13 and 3/4 point trade. on the NASDAQ, which is not half bad. So here the trend is below, and then finally when the trend line gets higher than the 15, you're right into resistance here. We can't take the trade. Here, again, too close to resistance, can't take the trade. Now, any trades that we're taking, you're going to see them on this chart. I mean, I have texted markers up. You saw from the last trade. So when a trade is taken, you're going to see it. Now, I can't tell you why this trade was not taken. It's probably because the system was off. This is at 15, 20 hours. I have a bad habit of turning the system off when I stop trading. This is just a gorgeous trade. And this would have been a really, really big winner. You would have had to have run this all day. But here's that trade. Now, see this 15? It stays red. You're going to go all the way down to here. You're going to be out right around here, 35 points. Even though you get these up candles, doesn't appear to change the color. There could have been an intra-candle flash of yellow, which may have closed the trade, but we can't see it, so we can't say it. Right here is where the trade likely closed at 35 points. Now, the only reason this trade wasn't taken was the system wasn't running. And I'm gonna stop that. I'm gonna let the system run all the time, just to achieve some better data. Here, way too big of an MA diff. Now, this may have been a trade. Again, now this is an 1109, so it was not. If it took it, I don't see any. Let me see if I see any other trades marked on here. No, I think that's the only one that's marked. And I think one of the reasons is that we modified the system again. And if we leave it the way it is, we're gonna have to send out new templates to those of you who purchased it. Because again, this is a tremendous up move that we would have gotten for sure. Now you can see all the constraints. No, in fact, it's not. There's no C2 on this trade. And I don't want to take the C2 off. On the aggressive, this would have been a trade. On the conservative, it would have not been a trade. We already went through this. Now I can go back more time, and we can look at a few more days, but I also want to go over all the inputs, which I think are really important. So you see exactly what you're trading. Now, I think what makes the system really unique is that the conservative system is very constrained. You can see today it took no trades. It was this horrifically choppy market. Didn't take anything. Yesterday, we got some great moves and it still didn't take any trades. There's nothing set up perfectly for it. I mean, it's going to be ultra picky. And that's the way I want it configured. Whereas we have the aggressive, Sergio wants to keep it ultra aggressive. I've talked with him about constraining it a little bit, and we have. I'm going to show you one change we've made on the aggressive to try to keep it from getting a little overly zealous. Here's another terrific trade. Now you need 11 tick wick. I don't know if this is an 11 ticks. Not going to bother to scale everyone. I just want you to understand the strategy. We want a big pullback. There's no C2 here, so there's no trade. And let's go further back. And then I'm going to go through. Now, I mean, here is your bread and butter trade. I mean, this is $1,000 trade, easy, on 2 contracts. Which is the way we have it. Which is the way we have it configured. I think it's $1,000 bucks, but Doesn't matter. Let's find another trade. Like I said, they're not going to be that many. We're not looking for a lot of trades. Here's your great trade right there. It's going to continue. It's not going to take you off here. And we went through this trade. This was a 35-point trade. Another huge move. Now, this pretty much follows the system we use in the live trading room. This may have been a trade right here. It depends on the MA diff. And it may have been good to go. Now, it's at 1800 hours and 10 minutes. So the system wouldn't have been on, but it was on. I think this is a likely trade to the upside and another winner. It's going to be, I'm telling you, on this system, it's going to be very hard for it to take a loser. The MA diff is keeping it tight to the 50, but outside of this zone. And with the requirements of the C2 and that 11-tick wick pullback, it's really rugged to take a loser. And here's another trade right here. And it's another nice winner. And again, you're going to go out on this change in color of the 50. Now you can, if you're watching the trade evolve, you can always intercede and close the trade on your own. I just wouldn't recommend it because you know you're going to get passionate about the trade. And the one thing that the auto gives you is that ability to just not have any fear or any greed. It's going to just trade the system based on its algorithm. And this is a very nice ultra conservative entry where the probability of getting a loser is exceedingly small. And that's what we're looking for. Here, there's no background color. So I think you pretty much get the idea. Now here with the C2 kicking in, unfortunately you have a pivot. You can trade right into it. It knocks it out. The C2 came in earlier and it may have in real time. Remember, everything's pushed to the right. And that's this may have been a trade. And all the settings are correct. But I can't absolutely tell you that it was. We find one more winner. And I purposely, for this webinar, I don't want to go through all the different indicators, define what they do. I just really want to show you the automated system. And I want to, right here, could have been an entry, and I think the MA diff allows it. For the heck of it, I'm going to scale it. That's the space. Actually, could have taken it right here or right here, but the only thing that's important is this space between the 50 and the 15. It's 9 3/4 points, absolute entry right here, down to here, and then you're out here. Not a huge trade, but it's a decent winner, and that's all you want. I'll take a single, double, triple, or home run, as long as it keeps as long as it keeps yanking them in. Now here is a winner. This is going to hit your first target on this big pullback. You have exactly what you're looking for. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles and a continued move up. This is a nice trade, actually. So it's really hard, honestly, it's really hard to find a loser because there's just not that many that are going to set up. Here, I don't think you got an 11-tick wick to get you into this trade before the trade evolves into oversold territory. Now, I don't know if we saw this one before, but here's your next entry. And it's a gorgeous trade, and it takes you all the way down right to here, and that's your out on this change in color of the 15. And the system is going to take the trade, and it is not going to fret or get worried about the entry. There's easy an 11 tick wick. You're in 1 tick below. It's going to come all the way down, and then it's going to take you out right about here. 21 points. That's 84 ticks on that trade. That's a great trade. 2 contracts. You take your first target at 20. Your second target at 84. 84 times 5. What's 8 times 5? It's $400 plus the first target. That's a $500 trade on 2 contracts. So I think you got an idea of the system. This might have been a trade, and it's another winner. This is going to hit your first target. And we had the system on, and it was just marking out. I do have text and markers up. It's my fault, because when we stop trading, I tend to shut these things down, and I've got to keep them running. And down we go. So what I did to show you the overall performance of the system is I got Danny, Father Danny's profit loss curve, because ours doesn't adequately reflect the performance of the system, because I'm shutting it off sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, when we had those days where we finished in 15 minutes and we closed the room at 10:30, I'm cutting off 2 hours of trading. So that's why, my system is not giving an adequate accounting. Now, there's one other thing that I want to mention that I think is extremely important. And that is every time the system disconnects, and I'll go through that when I go through the numbers with you. And here is the analyzer, which we're not going to look at. Here is the back end, which we are going to look at. And we're going to look at the conservative. We're going to edit. We're going to open up all the numbers. Now, right now we're only optimized on the NASDAQ. I just gave Sergio the go ahead to optimize the system on the Russell. After the Russell, we're going to optimize it on gold and crude. Now, here's the important thing. I have it set so that if it's a profit target of $1,300, it's going to shut off. If it hits a loss limit of 700, it's going to shut off. But if for any reason at all, you just you get disconnected from your data feed, and a lot of the reason for us, the most common reason is our internet provider. I mean, we have Comcast. It is the most expensive connection we can get. It's the business class. I've tried Dish. I've tried T-Mobile. They're horrible compared to Comcast. Comcast the most reliable and the fastest, but yet sometimes it will just briefly disconnect. Now we have our right here during the trading, we're always going to have this up. And you're going to see this green dot. This box is going to be in the lower right-hand corner of the chart. Actually, this chart's not going to be this low. So if the auto takes a trade, you're going to see it pop up here, and you're going to see the P&L prop up right here as the trade evolves. And then once it ends, it'll disappear, and then we can go to accounts. and see how much money it's made or lost. Now, these numbers, I wish I could tell you were relevant, but since I don't give out any baloney, they're not. And I have no idea where they came from. And it doesn't really matter. But we're going to start looking at them for our P&L on a daily basis and make sure that green light stays on. Because here's what happens. When the system disconnects, here's our strategies. We're going to go here. It's going to reset the amount, this again. So let's say you're down $600 and the system reconnects. It will not remember that 600. So you're going to have to intervene when your system disconnects and then reconnects. If you're up 11 or 1200, you may want to shut the system off. This is the only thing on one of the few things on the system that's totally discretionary. And that is, how much do you want the system to make before it simply turns itself off, and how much do you want it to lose before that's a day you just want to pass by. That's totally up to you. Now, on the conservative, I would recommend you leave the numbers the way they are. It's going to rarely take a loser, and when it takes a winner, let that winner run. And if it takes another winner, let that winner run. I would go all the way to 1300. In fact, on the conservative, you may even want to take this to 400. If it takes one loser, just shut it down, because those losers are very, very rare. Now, all these inputs we're going to give you, they're all instrument independent. The 34 range is our key higher time frame. We calculate everything here. The sensitivity of the pivots and the zones are 150, and the input on our 15 EMA of our EMA is 7. The input on our 50 EMA is 50. Pivot sensitivity is 150. Now I have the system starting at 9:30 and going off at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, this is really telling the system when it's going to trade, and we're only taking one trade here. We used to have 3, but we really have narrowed it down. Sometimes more is not better. We're just taking the wick entry. And on the wick, the gear for a long trade has to be red or green or orange or lime. Red, green, orange, or lime. And they have to be the same. Dual reds, dual oranges, dual greens. I don't even have that in here. I'll show you on the actual charts, but we need dual gears for this to take a trade. And the bias is up, up, down, down. That is dark pink or dark green. That's the DD. That's down, down. Up, up is dark. It's dark green. Down, down is dark pink. Now, it's got a volume threshold. If the NASDAQ is not turning 400 contracts per unit minute of time, it will not trade. So if you let the auto trader sit all night, and you just don't want to watch it, when volume goes down to like 10 contracts a minute, 20 contracts a minute, it will not allow any trade to take place. It's not turning 400. It is going to stand aside. Now, it's obviously going to respect the 15 and the 50. 15 has to have crossed the 50 and be down. 50 has to be red and down. Now, it's going to respect the difference between the trend and the 15, so that there must be, I can't move it, 2 ticks of difference between the trend and the 15, where the trend is lower than the 15 on a short, higher than the 15 on a long, both red or both green. Now we're asking the system to do a lot, but that's the goal of the conservative system. Its number one goal is not to get every winner. Its number one goal is to avoid every loser. Now we have this set, the MA diff at 56 ticks, which if I divide by 4, it's an MA diff of 14 points. And that's good. That's what I told Sergio to make it bigger. We went from 11 to 14. I'm happy with it. Now, clear pivot signal and clear zone signal. So somewhere in here is programmed how much space it's going to give a pivot or a zone. I'm not sure where that input is, but it will not trade into a pivot and will not trade into a zone. So it's never going to trade into unbroken resistance or unbroken support. We just don't know where that is. It might be all the way at the top. Let me see. I don't see it. Let me ask Sergio. Hang on one second. What we've tried to do is basically okay, there's a number. So there's the MA diff, and it's going to respect these zones and pivots. It's not going to trade into any support or any resistance. Now we set a first target at 20 ticks. We want 5 points. When we hit the 5, we're going to bank our money, and the number of contracts is going to be up to you. Now this has the C2 check, so you must have it. We must have an 11 tick wick. If we have a 10 tick wick, won't take the trade. Now, let me find it. Sergio just showed it to me, and I just lost it again. Hang on one second here. Now that first target value was 20, but let me show you the strategy. Here's your first target, 1 contract. Second target, 1 contract. Initial stop is 40 ticks on both. First target is 20. Now I set a very conservative second target. I set it at 70. If you want to go for 100 ticks, there's nothing wrong with it. Now it's going to exit on the line change, which is what I was showing you. It's going to keep going until that 15 changes color. So it's going to work its way around a ton of chop and keep you in the trade. And this is the only system I've ever seen that trails the trade on an indicator. And this indicator is really assessing momentum. So as long as momentum on the trade remains intact, you're going to stay in the trade. And we see in the trading room that sometimes that 15 will stay green or red for 30, 40, or 50 points, whereas we'll get knocked out earlier. And if we took the trade on line change, we would have gotten a much bigger move. So if you want to move this to 100 ticks, there's really no downside, except if it hits 75, it'll come back and probably take you out around 60. It's going to give back. But I'm going to leave it at 70 right now because that's where I set it with Sergio. Now, break even is 20 and 20. So when you hit your first target, the system will lock in that first target. And the line change will be employed on the runner as it moves off your entry price. Now here's our tick type. It's an 8140 with 5 days to load. What you need is on a Monday, some of these indicators will not show unless you have 5 days to load, especially the C2. And this is all just standard stuff. And you're not going to play around with any of that. Now, I still have to get that metric of it's programmed in, and here's where it is. You see the first target value 20. Now here's where it actually tells you where that first target is. Here's where it tells you how much space to give a pivot. So you want the entry to pivot to be at least equal to the first target. So it's got plenty of room, because as you approach the pivot, it's going to start to influence price. The pivot's not a discrete line, and as price begins to approach it, it's going to start running into trouble. Now we could make that first target value 21 or 22. I set it at 20, which is the exact distance to the first target. So if the entry the system is looking at is within 20 ticks of support or resistance, it will not take the trade. So you will never get stopped out by trading into support or resistance. Now, as long as you understand the system, you can modify it. I mean, I don't recommend it. These are our recommended inputs, and they've been doing very well for us. And I'm going to show you off of Danny's system, and he allows it to trade all day, 9:30 to 4 o'clock. That's when he turns it off. I allow my system to trade sometimes for 20 minutes. So, it's radically different. And I just took the numbers he gave me. The volume threshold's a great volume threshold. Obviously, it's a very constrained and very conservative strategy. So now let's take a look at the aggressive strategy. Now, the aggressive strategy is really aggressive. And I'm going to take the indicators that it ignores and remove them. Now, here's the aggressive strategy. The aggressive strategy doesn't look at background bias. It doesn't look at the C2. It doesn't look at a lot of things. And I'll show you the metrics on the aggressive. The aggressive in a really volatile market can make a ton, but in a really choppy market, it can get hurt. It's up to you. Like this would easily be an aggressive entry right here. It doesn't even look, I don't believe it looks at the MA diff. You get a trade, it's going to grab it and run with it. Now, if it's already in a trade, it's obviously, it's not going to add on. But here's the only thing I had Sergio add to it, which it did not have before. So we're going to have to send you out new templates. And we'll send those out to you tomorrow morning. We can't do it today because it's only 18 minutes to 5. And Sergio leaves in 18 minutes. And I'll have him set this up, and you'll get your new aggressive, and you're going to get your new conservative with the modified MA diff. Now, I think it's going to improve performance, but the thing that the aggressive will now respect is the fact that the trend has to be below the 15 on every trade. Before, it didn't even look at the trend. And I thought that that was a little bit too aggressive. So the only thing that the aggressive strategy is looking at is this, and you'll see it in the inputs. You want the 50 red heading down. You want the 15 cross the 50 and heading down. Now before, that was it. It's looking for an 11 tick wick, just like the conservative. And that was all there was on that system. And we'll go through all the inputs. Now it's going to require this space between the 15 and the trend. If it doesn't have that, it won't take a trade. So it's going to take fewer trades. And I think the trades it does take are going to be better entries. But it's still not going to be constrained by the C2 or by bias. So it's game for any trade, like right here. If that's 11 ticks, you're long. That's definitely 11, you're long, and you got a winner. We won't take this trade. It'll take this trade if we're 20 ticks off. Still not going to trade into support or resistance, but I'll show you all the inputs. Here's another winner. I mean, I'm telling you, when the market's got a lot of volatility like this, it's going to just nail you winner after winner after winner. You're going to hit your upside target and shut your system down really quick. Now, I think this addition is a major benefit and is going to give the system an exceedingly greater amount of power. Now, I just want to show you the importance. See here, the trend line just jumps up, but it's going to take the trade right here. And let's take this entry here. And let's follow it. Remember, it's going to continue to stay in the trade as long as this line is red. So this line is red, 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 and turns yellow right here. This is where you're out. So you got yourself a gigantic trade right here. It's just estimate. It's not exact. 48 points and change on that trade. That's 200 ticks. I mean, that's 2 contracts. That's $1,000 bucks. Now, very few of us would allow this thing to trade on like that and just ignore these up candles and all of this noise. But this system is going to do it because there's not enough decrease in momentum to take you out of the trade. And that 15 EMA of an EMA has great stability and great speed. It's a much better line than the 15 EMA, the EMA of the EMA. So that's going to give you a terrific entry on what looks like an oversold trade, but you'll wind up getting almost 50 points on it. So no complaint. Now here you can see you're going to get nothing because the trend is above the 15. Actually, you could get a trade here, actually, but you're trading right into resistance. Here's another trade right here. I mean, I can just go over these over and over. Now you will get losers on this system because here's another winner right here. Actually, you're going to get in here. This thing is a monstrous trade to the upside. You might even, I think, gotten in right here on this pullback. Now this is 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I just want to point that out. It's 400. It's 4 out. You know, it's 0400. But if you have the system running, you're going to wake up, and at the very least, you're going to have a 47-point winner. Here's nothing. Here's another trade, either on this candle or this candle with the space. So I think by adding this, we've given it a lot of additional power, but a little more specificity to rein it in somewhat. And I think it's going to be a more powerful. Look at that entry right here. All the way down, out right here on green. That's a bigger trade than you think. So I think you get it. I mean, I don't want to, be overly redundant. This is right here. And again, look how that 15 helps you. So you're going to take the trade and you get in right here. And look at the red 15. Takes you all the way down and you're out right here where it turns green. So even though you lose the trend, you just need it on the entry. Even though you get 2 up candles, doesn't change the color of the 15. 15 stays red. You will not exit this trade. And this trade goes right to here. Just bag 18 points. That is really a decent trade. It's not quite 80 ticks, but it's close. So let's take a look at the inputs. Now you're gonna get, to those of you who have the system, you're gonna get 2 revised templates in the morning. On the conservative and the aggressive, which is gonna have that additional constraint, which I think is gonna make a universe of difference. I'm really happy with how it's performed, and you're gonna see its curves running 24/7 are outstanding, but it's gonna be a lot better. Here's the aggressive. And again, all these inputs are standard for the NASDAQ. And like I said, we're going to the Russell. Now, do I have the right one? Hey, Sergio, can you come in for a second? I hate to jerk Sergio in and out here. This is the aggressive strategy right here, right?
I have no idea.
Right? Yeah, I hit it. Now do you want that? Do you want the 15?
That's not the aggressive one.
Which is the aggressive? Where's the aggressive?
No idea. That one is not it.
Well, find it for me. This is my.
I guess that you will load a template on it with the wrong thing.
I never touched it. Hang on one sec.
And you are, that's the correct.
Okay. I had the wrong template in, and I think Sergio just fixed it. So on the aggressive, the 34 range is obviously our key parameter, does not matter. Sensitivity of the pivot, the same. Now, the movement and speed of the 15 so this line has gone to 15. On the conservative, it was 7. So now it's a slower line. Pivot sensitivity is the same. Trade the whole day. Loss and profit and loss are the same. Again, these are up to you to modify. C2 now. Yeah, it's not in use. Now we're going to go down. Well, here's the wick. This is the only template. This is the only entry that's on the system. Now, we're not using the gears. Now the 15, obviously on a long has to be green, and the 50 has to be green. On a short, the 15 has to be red, the 50 has to be red. That should be 2. Our MA diff is set at 25 point. What's that? No, it's not in use. So there is no MA diff. I got Sergio sitting over here, so I have a better idea. I mean, obviously, we're not using much of anything. We're using the 15, the 50, and the difference on the trend diff of 2. That's it. And then we have our ATM. Wick size of 11, 40. 40 is the stop. Sergio set the first target at 30, not 20. The second target at 150, not 7. It breaks even at 30, where the stop jumps, locks in your 30, and then you're off to the races on the exit on line change. It's really boils down to just those few inputs, and that's it. So while the conservative system looks at almost every indicator we have, the aggressive system is only looking at that MA diff. I'm sorry, is only looking at that 1550 difference right here. 2 ticks. Now I'm going to make sure that the templates are set up absolutely perfectly before they go out. So when you get them tomorrow, the system is going to trade flawlessly as per the algorithm that's set inside it, and every number that we set, Sergio and I will review together. So I already showed you the trades, and they were all correct. Now Sergio does not want to use an MA diff. I'm gonna talk to him about that again. I think he should. At some point, you're gonna get an overbought or oversold trade. I'm gonna leave it up to him on this aggressive strategy. I already got him to budge on this. I mean, the guy is really smart, and there's only so much. The conservative strategy is obviously mine, because it's very heavily constrained, and that's the way I trade. heavily constrained. But the aggressive strategy is Sergio's, and I expect it to really rack it in. The only thing I think that we should add to it is an MA diff, which I'm going to talk to him about. I think at some point, the trade has to be considered overbought or oversold, and the system not to continue to chase it, even if we want to take an MA diff that's much bigger than 14 points, go to 15, 16, 17, that's fine. So that's really the system. I went over every input. They're all not operational. So these numbers are really irrelevant. The volume zones are relevant here, but most of these 34s, it's not really looking at them because we're not using it. I just want you to, I'm just giving that information to you so you have absolute clarity on it. That's all. Now this again should be 15, and I'll make sure it's 15 before it goes out. So I will show you on a 24/7. I have to find the JPEG wherever the heck it is. Let me just move this over here. If you want to see my kids, there they are. That's only for a second. Let me find the JPEG. Hold on. We've got one for the conservative and one for the aggressive. Let me just go to the desktop and find them. There's nothing to show. That's always nice to see. Let me open this with something else. $9,095 on the conservative, and this is based on Danny, who has the system enabled 24, has the system enabled for the entire session, and this is 720 to 8.3. Not an enormous amount of money. It's about $4,500 a week, and it's always on. I don't have it on. I just asked him for his numbers, and this is just a screenshot. All I did here was take out his account number. He's got a live account, and that I don't want to. I do not want to project, obviously, his live account number. That would not be right to do. And here is his aggressive. $16,625. It's all right here. And this is from 720 to 8.3. And his account number, for some reason here, see it says account display. It was displaying his account number. I don't want you to think that we knocked anything out. All we did was knock out his account number. That was it. We did not do anything else. Now, the chart you see above is the chart of the full system. And all we did was take a snapshot of his P&L based on the performance of either the conservative or the aggressive. So the aggressive did twice as well as the conservative, but running them all day created a really nice profit amount for the 2-week period. Now, I don't have the ability to open this up and see on. I'm sure there were especially on the aggressive, there were big drawdown days, or maybe it locked him out at 1,000. And I can't look into that. All I can do is give you his overall 2-week performance. Now, we have lots of back testing that was really excellent. The system that we're going to send out tomorrow is going to be, I think, better than anything that we've used. But these are accurate numbers and coming right off of his platform. We didn't touch anything except squash out the account number. Now, let me go to any questions. And if there are any questions about any inputs, you'll get this on a link so you can review it. But let me go through. Now, if you're interested in this system, I'll put up. We're going to make 5 more systems available. Initially, we only made 10, but it really hasn't made a dent in the entry. Tremendous liquidity on the NASDAQ. It hasn't had any effect. I don't think it's going to have any effect on the Russell. So I don't think we're going to be putting anybody at jeopardy with everyone getting in at approximately the same level. Let me just find it. And if you want to come aboard, you can. But in all honesty, we are only going to do 5 more because of my concern for the traders who own it. I do not want to compromise the entry. Now, I have to tell you that sometimes the entries are so fast that you do get some slippage, but I don't think that has anything to do with the system. So I'm just going to show it to you from the current slide. So the special offer, we're going to give it to you at half off. It's normally $39.97, and we just had a $39.97 purchase, which we allowed to go through, but we're only going to do 5 more. And that's at $19.97. And when I tell you that we're constraining that, I really mean that, because I'm very, very concerned about the entry and the liquidity. Now, it's a dual system. You've got your conservative for low volatility, low volume. And if you see a market that's trading flat, my recommendation is to just run this conservative strategy. Come the fall, when all the big institutional traders are back and vacation's over, and you're going to get all the big guys ramming this market, we're going to switch to the aggressive strategy. And I think it's going to just really roll it up. So that's how we're going to look at it. I mean, you can run them both at the same time on one account. I made a mistake of saying you can't, but that's incorrect. You only need you need dual data. Do you need dual data feeds, Rory? You don't need dual data feeds. You're going to get the live trading room for 2 months. So you can sit in with me, and we've been killing it. I wasn't able to make the live trading room this morning because of the appointment we had today. I had today, which took up the entire afternoon. But I'm interviewing for a new position, and I had a candidate to come, and it was very hard for me to get hold of him, and so that's why I couldn't. We made $1,000 on Monday. We made just under $500 on Tuesday. We're up $1,500 in 2 trading sessions. Unfortunately, I could not make it today. I make 99% of the sessions. I will be in the room, and I'll be trading with you on Thursday and Friday. And I'm almost always there. I'm going to close that up. You can always call us if you have a question. And let me go through any questions. I can find them. Here we are. Okay. Hey, everyone. Now, there are a lot of questions, and I'm going to go through them all. So I want everything to get answered. NQ Conservative has taken very few trades. Ed, I don't know the day. I swear to you, I think we changed it like yesterday. Some of these changes are very recent, but you're going to be getting that update. And one of the reasons I increased the MA diff is because of it's taken so few trades. Now you saw it only made $6,000 or 7,000, whatever it was, in 2 weeks of trading, and it just took very few trades. So I've sort of loosened up its reins a bit, so it can trade a little bit more frequently. Regarding the 15-20 trade, I thought hours were set at 9:30 to noon. That's when I'm turning it off. The start and end hours are really up to you. And Sergio set the template to trade all day, but I have not been allowing it to trade all day, and I have recommended 9:30 to noon only. So, but I just want you to know that it appears to me that if you let it trade all day, it may make you a better equity curve. Now, I still recommend that you take it out at your profit target or your loss limit. But if it hasn't hit it yet, and it's 12 o'clock, that volume trigger is going to protect you in a low volume environment. And you may nail one big winner. If it nails a loser, the aggressive strategy is more likely to do that. But you understand that when you turn it on, and you don't have to use it. You can just go for the 2 or 3 trades a week I think you're going to get now on the conservative, and the conservative is very likely to get a loser, although a loser is always a possibility, and I don't want anyone to get the impression that the system is foolproof, because believe me, it's not. I mean, if it was, we wouldn't sell it. I mean, no guru, no phony guru would tell you that, but that's the truth. It is going to take losers, but it's not going to take many. Hey, John. You know what, John? We display the C2 line. Is the C2 line vividly present? Yes, it is vividly present, John. This is not. I didn't show you the C2, the Thinkorswim system, but it is very, very vividly present. And I'll just show traders really quickly. Some have probably never seen it before. Let me just drop this. Let me just move this off. So too many good hackers here in the cyberspace. Now, I actually was looking at a trade, and I was looking at the volatility. Here's the charts. Now, I was looking at the Lockheed Martin, and let me open it up. This is not the full template. But if we open it up, you can easily see the C2 and how well it fires price like that. Right here, up like that. And that's just totally arbitrary. And that C2 is, remember I told you every time the C2 changes, you're gonna get an arrow. It just so happens right here, up you go and up you go. Now I don't know how much money you'd make it at the money call, but those are 2 beautiful trades. This one obviously has to move through this pivot, but you got plenty of room in the trade, and up you go. This is not automated, and this is not the whole system. I think there's a couple of indicators I left out. Off the top of my head, I can't see any I left out. You know what? I think the RL trend is missing. And if I go to studies and I edit the studies, and you go over here, Here it is. Let's add it. Okay, there it is. And that makes the trade even more beautiful. When that trend, remember that space between the trend and the 15? There it is. Up you go. You see this one? No trade, because the trend is all the way down here. It's too risky. Here's your perfect long trade on Lockheed Martin. So that's pretty much the whole system. I have the 50 white. Here's the C2. Here's the trend. Here's the 15. Here are the pivots. So I think I don't have the implied volatility versus historical volatility. And I was just perusing stocks earlier and just going through some stuff. And you know, I was just looking at whatever was there. But that's sort of close to the full platform. And look, and I can I'm not, you know, I'm not going to take, well, let me just, I'll just put in our implied volatility. And then that's the whole platform. All right, line trading. Where'd it go? Here it is. Here. Now I put in the wrong line. But I'm not, that's just traditional volatility. That is not our assessment. Oh, you know what? Well, I'm not gonna go after it. But that's it. Let's just take a look here. Since we're, let's see what we got. Now, this is Lockheed Martin on this is Lockheed Martin on a 2-minute. That's what I would trade it. I would trade it on a 2-minute. That's into support. I wouldn't take it. See, this is a nice long trade. Doesn't go very far. And the scanner is off. Like, I don't have Lockheed Martin in the dashboard. So since I don't have it in the dashboard, I'm not getting any scanner signals, which would be really helpful. Here's a terrific short right here. I don't know what time this is. This candle it's just floating in the middle of nowhere. Let's just take feel good trades just during trading hours. Here's your great short right here. And I don't have the scanner. It's actually right here. To give us the benefit of a perfect entry, because I don't have it in. So that's the full system. And it really, really helps you trade. And it does not matter the time frame or the kind of candle that you use. And the scanner is obviously of major help. You could take a trade right here long. There's a little bit of a retracement right back to triple support. The 15, the trend, and the pivot sits right here. And even though it's doji, we don't care about Japanese candlestick patterns, and up we go. So you're going to get some nice trades. I obviously don't think Lockheed Martin is a great trade. It's a great instrument to day trade on an at-the-money call, but you know, you can see on a 2-minute, it's rarely going to put you in the wrong direction. Okay. So 11 tick wick is the minimum size of the wick pullback. Exactly, Stephen. If the wick is 12, 13, 14, 15 ticks, it's a trade. If it's 10 ticks, it will not take it. Now, Sergio got that 11 by doing back testing over and over and over and over. So I'm not going to touch that 11 ticks. I mean, I think that that's optimal. Now, he left, so I did not have time for him to set an MA diff on the aggressive strategy. So we'll set that tomorrow and send out your updated templates in the afternoon. So just know that. If you're on board, you will get what I consider to be very close to as perfect as we're going to get on the system. We're going to have a great conservative and I think an optimal aggressive. And the one that does the best is going to be determined by the nature of the market. If it's high volatility, high volume, that aggressive is going to beat the conservative. If it's low volatility, low volume, it's going to be the other way around. Now, there's no way for you to know when the market opens, which is why I myself would always trade the conservative. But a lot of traders are using both, but that's totally up to you. I'm not sure which one, Rosemary. The conservative is the one that takes into account everything. Pretty much, it's really trading what we're trading. It's just doing it without any, concern. It doesn't squeeze the stops. It takes all the trades and lets them evolve off the 15. I can't tell you the number of trades I've squeezed out on a wick that have again gone another 10 points. But it's pretty much looking for the exact entries we are now on an MA diff of 14 points. The aggressive is not looking at background bias. It's not looking at the quants. It's not looking at the Laguerres. It's not looking at any of that. It's just looking at the difference between the 15 and the trend. If there's separation and the 50's green and the 15's green, trade. There's separation and they're both red, and there's separation, 50's red, 15's red, separation between the two, it's going to go short. And it doesn't make any difference to that system, whether the higher time frames or the background color. That's why I took it off, to make it really clear on the chart template that it's not interested. And I'm very surprised. I mean, I told Sergio initially that if he doesn't use background bias, he's going to get killed. But I was wrong. And that aggressive strategy in a highly volatile market does exceedingly well. So it's really, it's sort of burst some of my conceptions about trading. Although for us in the room, we're not changing anything because we've been knocking it out of the park and we're staying right the way we are, just the way we are. Hey, Rosemary. It's not the one you actually have, Rosemary. It's the one you're actually going to have tomorrow afternoon. Okay. We'll send it out by, I got to sit down and talk with Sergio. I want to go over all the inputs, make sure they're absolutely accurate. And when I'm positive they are, it's going out to you, and you and everyone who came aboard will get it. Listen, it's no good on my computer. I want it on yours. Mark, is the exit on the close of the bar after color change? It's at color change, Sathir. It could be right in the middle of the candle. If it flashes yellow or green on a short trade, it takes the trade out. Does not wait for the candle to close. And usually once that 15 changes color, you get a whole series of candles that go against you. If you look at that, it's uncanny. Like you'll get 2 up candles, 15 doesn't change color, it heads back down again. But once you get that change in color, it really signifies a change in momentum. A very subtle change, but it makes a difference in price kinetics. And you're going to see that with that change in color of the 15, the market is going to make a big move in the opposite direction. 2, 3, 4, 5 candles. So it takes you out at the right time. And I don't think I've ever seen where the 15 takes you out and then you could get back in. I mean, it's sort of the end of the move. I mean, you just pile dirt on it and say rest in peace, because the move has pretty much come to its end. Hey, Stephen, is the MA diff the number of, it's the number of actually 9.75 points, that'd be 39 ticks. That's correct. And we're going to set it at 14 points or 14 times 5, which is, I think, 14 times 5, 60 ticks. That will be the MA diff, Stephen. On the NASDAQ, it's just not that much. I mean, we get 50-point trades on the NASDAQ. And I think what I'd set it at 11 just constrained the NASDAQ so much, it wasn't taking enough trades. Plus, we will very soon be on the Russell. And I think that that's going to open up our universe now to 2 markets, both on the conservative and the aggressive strategy. And once we get the Russell down, then we're gonna open it up to gold and crude. But only if they increase our equity curve. But I think they will. So we're going to go for those 4 markets. But the Russell, I already told Sergio early this morning, and he's already working on it. So you should have the Russell template. Today is Wednesday, hopefully before Friday ends. So we'll be trading 2 instruments, and we're going to have the opportunity, I hope, to get more winners, not to get more losers. Except I might say this, because we're now on 2 instruments, you might be more predisposed to go with the conservative, because now you have 2 opportunities to get a conservative entry in an environment where the likelihood of getting a loser is exceedingly low. As we go to crude and we go to gold, that gives you even more of an incentive. Take the most conservative trades. That's just my predisposition. The reason we gave them both out, though, is that maybe that will change after Labor Day, when all the big guys come back from Martha's Vineyard and Hyannisport and Aspen, and they're all trading with us. We're going to see volume, I think, take a nice leap, volatility take a nice leap, and then that aggressive strategy may simply hit grand slam home runs, one after the other. So we'll see. Hey, John. Mark, you said that the system didn't take any trades today. You know what? Honestly, John, I don't know if it did, because I had my system off. Like, I didn't open it. The conservative strategy did not take any trades yesterday, but I didn't let it run all day. That's the problem. What I showed you that Danny accrued was off of 9:30 to 4 p.m. every day for the last 2 weeks. So I really can't tell you for sure what my system would do. Okay. Okay, John, listen, it may, John said it took 2 losers. I don't know whether that was the aggressive or the conservative, but John, all that bears out to me is I know the system is never going to be perfect. And really all that matters is how it performs over the course of a week. I mean, week to week, we want to see it make money. On any given day, today was a really tough day to trade. Now, I don't think the conservative strategy took anything. If you're going to trade the aggressive on a day like today, where there's almost no volatility, I mean, I watched the market as soon as I got to the computer, I scanned through the whole day and I was looking at it. I'm like, man, today was a flat day. So on the aggressive strategy, this is a day where you're going to get hurt. And that's my whole point. Over the summer, you may want to go with the more conservative strategy. If you did, you probably would be at 0. The symbol Abir is NQ. That's how it's portrayed on the NinjaTrader. This is Lockheed Martin. This is LMT, and that's a stock. Now I hold the stock in the options portfolio, and it isn't doing so well. I have to tell you, I'm very, very surprised because I took this trade with 1 ton of unusual options activity, and it is just not performing. Now it's got plenty of time, but it's not really skyrocketing like I anticipated, especially in this administration that I think is heavily oriented towards funding the military, but it's doing what it's doing. I have Boeing too, which is not doing that great. Today we had a gorgeous winner. We had a trade. I think I don't know if it went up 20 or 25%. It was on I forgot the ticker. On one of the stocks that wasn't Editas. It was hold on. I'll tell, since I mentioned it, I'll follow through. I'll tell you, I don't want to get off topic too much because it's just getting late, and there's a lot of questions and I want to answer them all. We had a really nice winner on, I will find it. Invitae. Now it closed up 7%. At one point, it was up 13 or 14%. The option was up 42%. So it moved really nicely. We had quite a few trades that in the options portfolio. We closed out American Electric Power yesterday, but trading options has not been easy. We have Norwegian Cruise Lines short. We have Beyond Meat short, and let me tell you, they're both sinking like a stone. Okay, let me get back on topic. Okay, I'm using the chart that I run with the manual NDT. How do I build the chart? Trayton, when you get the system, we should send you a template for the chart. You should not have to build anything. So I'll let Rory know that you don't have the chart. And when you say Revo, I assume you mean the automated self-directed auto. So I will make sure that you get it. Fantastic improvement, Mark. When is this latest system being sent out? Tomorrow, Sathir, tomorrow. And thank you for that. Let me tell you, we are going to be working on this system forever. We're never going to let it stand pat, and we're never going to consider it done. Just like everything else we do, it's going to be in constant evolution, and we're going to be constantly working to make it better. I'm going to make sure that Sergio runs it all day. In fact, we may leave it on 24/7 and accrue the data from that period, since we can segregate it by time and see if there are any parameters we can change, anything we can do to make the system even better than it is. Hey, Ed, lag signal boxes were not checked. The Lagier's not being used on the aggressive, Ed. It's not using anything. I'm telling you, it's just using the space between the 15 and the trend. That's all. And on a long, the 15 and the 50 have to be green. On the short, the 15 and the 50 have to be red. I told you it was a totally unconstrained trading algorithm. Now, but it's totally your call as to whether you want to employ it. Hey, Scott, the Laguerre shouldn't be checked on the aggressive. And I'm going to make sure that every one of those inputs are gone through very carefully before we send it out tomorrow afternoon. Now, if the Laguerre should not be employed on the aggressive anyway. Hey, Rosemary. I would wait a little while, Rosemary. Let's get the new templates. Let them run for a few days, and then I think you're good to go. Okay? The new templates are a big step up. Hey, Stephen, it's 44. That's exactly, Stephen. You're going to move that to 56. Exactly right. It should have been 44, but you don't have to bother to change anything. You're going to get the new template, and that's going to move it to 56 for you. So don't worry about it. You don't have to make any changes. We'll update everything for you. Hey, Ed, C2 box is not checked. It's not being used, Ed. On that aggressive, it's not using anything. Remember, let me take down, in fact, I'm going to actually close this. And let me put up the, this is the full system. Let me find the chart. Oh, here it is. I got it. That's all it's using. What you see in front of you is the only thing that the aggressive is using. Nothing else. And there's no Laguerre, no quants. Below price, it's using nothing. Now, the template on the conservative uses the quants, the Laguerres, everything. The only thing this is respecting, it's using pivots, it's using zones, it's not going to trade into support or resistance. Obviously, that's a must. We're not going to commit hara-kiri. But otherwise, it's just going to trade. As long as the space is 2 ticks, and this is green, and this is green. That's it. That's your full criteria long, and here's your full criteria short. Red, space. 11 tick wick, you're in the trade. Out on color change of the 15. That's it. It's almost like, a child's play strategy. It's that simple. Dollar. So these settings for NQ only. Well, right now we already have created the Russell metrics. We've got all of the numbers. Sergio's just testing them, and we will add the Russell by the end of the week. And, as I always do, if you have the system, we make an upgrade or an add-on, or we add markets dollar, you'll always get those, and we never charge you. I mean, we're always going to be trying to make the system better. I don't care if it makes 20,000 bucks a day. We're going to still be trying to make it better, because that's our mandate. And that's mathematical modeling. Until we achieve perfection, we're always working to improve. And that's the way it should be, really. Now, we're never going to make $20,000 a day, but that's our goal. Hey, Ed, C2 box at top is unchecked. I don't know, and that's a good question, Ed. And let me put my glasses back on and take a look and see what you're talking about, so I can check it out. I think I know what the issue is. If we go to here, and we go here, oh, you know what that C2 input is? That's the third higher time frame. Remember the 3 time frames on the NASDAQ, the 21, the 34, and the 50. So that's what that is. That's your C2 input. Now, every single type of entry is going to give you an opportunity to take the C2. But we don't use it. It's simply, this is just graffiti on the aggressive strategy. Now, this is not the aggressive strategy. This is the conservative. So it's important. But if I look at the right one, now this is the aggressive. I'm sorry. The only thing that matters here is the wick. That's the only entry it's taken, both systems. That was a big upgrade right there. The pivot brakes, oscillator entries do not work like the wicks. Sergio reconfiguring the candle bodies was a monster move forward. We really redid the system. And on the only thing that it really is going to look at, like I said, is just the color of the 15 and the 15. You can see it's right here. Red or green, red or green. And that's it. So nothing else matters at all. Now, even if you dial something in, I don't think it's going to matter, but I wouldn't do it. But under the right here, the wick entry, it doesn't look at the Legears. It's just not programmed for it. It doesn't look at the oscillators. It's not programmed for it. So a lot of these inputs are just irrelevant. So we don't have the wick size is 11. So I want you to know what is relevant and what is not relevant in terms of the system. I'm going to make sure that every input is perfect, Ed. So don't worry really so much about the inputs, because I'm telling you, we'll go over them. And then when I have them rechecked, then you're going to have the ability to look at them. And if you have any questions about any of them, just give me a call. Father D. When you say set it as a runner, Danny, I'm not sure what you mean. We always have a runner. It's a second contract. If you don't want to take your first contract out at the first target where it has that entry, you're going to put 0. It's right here. I mean, you're setting up the ATM that you want, Danny. So if you go to edit and you go down here, I'm not sure what your question is, but maybe this might be what it is. Let me just put my glasses back on here. This system is taking, hang on 1 second here. Here's your ATM. First target, remember I told you, looking for 30 and 150. Now let's say you want to trade 2 contracts and take nothing out at the first target. Just hit 0 and move that to 2. Well, we got to go back to 0 here. It'll take it'll trade both your contracts on the runner. It'll still, the stop will still go to break even, but you can change that as well. I mean, you decide the ATM you want. And if you need any help, we're here to help you with it. Okay, Danny? Is the target profit of 1,300 conflict with the target? No, in no way, Rosemary. That 1,300 bucks and the ticks are completely different. You don't have to worry about that. There's no confliction. Can you put 0 in the second target to exit on line change only? That is not absolutely, Ed. You just saw me put a 0 in, and you absolutely can. That ATM is completely configurable, and it will run the way you want it to. Trading hours are set at the bottom, different from pit session start and end. You have said that trading hours allowed are only to noon. Is that true? Well, that's what I believe what I have it set at. And let me take a quick look again. Go to the conservative, go to edit. Now you're right. This is the pit session start, pit session end. Let's go to the bottom. See, I don't see any I don't see any start or stop time other than that, Ed. That's the only one I see. I mean, listen, just because Sergio labeled it pit session start and pit session stop doesn't mean, I mean, this is where you decide where the hours you want the trader to trade. These are your inputs. So, I mean, this is where you can have a turnaround. I don't see any other place to put it. You know, I understand exactly what you're saying about the session, but I don't see any place else where you can change the on time or off time. I'm gonna have to move a little bit faster just because we're running really late and I still got. Hey, Joel, are you sure I should not change the pit session start and end times to match? No, I believe you should, Joel. Hold up for now and let me confirm that. I've talked to Sergio about that a million times. He said you should change them to match the times you're trading in your zone. So I believe the answer is yes, but let me confirm that with Sergio. I'll do it tomorrow morning. I'll let you know in the room before we start to trade, because I don't want to give you the wrong information. Can I trade on this system with my profile with Merrill Edge? Okay. The C2 again? Okay. No, Sharon, the moderate, you should have gotten a template that says conservative and test. And tomorrow you're going to get two brand new templates, and I'm going to have Sergio label them conservative and aggressive, Sharon. So don't worry about what you got now. They're all templates anyway. Tomorrow afternoon, you're going to get brand new templates. So don't worry about those. And they're going to be very clearly labeled. Like I said, Ed, and Ed said, the aggressive system had losers today. It's going to happen on a really, really lousy day like today. That's the nature of the system. But this is the purpose of the webinar. The purpose of the webinar is to show you the constraints and the trading logistics of the two strategies. I mean, the aggressive strategy has almost no constraints. And on a very choppy, 50 hugger day, it's going to get walked into losers. On a really, really big volatile, on big volatility, it'll take a $1,500 winner. So it's, you have to make an assessment and decide if you want to run. And remember, Ed, you do not have the updated template. The updated template may have constrained many of those losing trades where the 15 and the trend had no alignment. The one that you have now is way too wild. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those trades are filtered out. We'll see tomorrow. You'll get it in the afternoon. Hey, Trayton. Yes, no, the trend line is a measure of volatility and moving average. In this is an ADR, ADX. And if you look, it's a standard indicator right here, ADR, ADX. And that measures volatility. So now we modified the ADR, ADX, and I included it inside a 15-period moving average. So it's a measure of volatility and moving average. Now, the platform and software have been around close to 10 years. And the only indicator that's lasted all 10 is this line. Everything else has been either modified or kicked out and replaced. But that line has just continued to live on because it's just really a superlative line. That's why, Ed, I think when you get this space, like you don't have it here, I think it's going to really constrain the trading. And I think that may be what it needs. Okay, trade. Hey, James. How easy, difficult is it to switch between conservative and aggressive strategies? You win a few aggressive trades early in the day. Hey, listen, here's how tough it is. You go here and you just go like this. Just switch the check, switch the click. That's it. That's your entire change. Now they're both on. Now you have one on. Now you have the other on. Takes you 2 seconds. Literally instantaneous. Okay, James, that should be very simple for you. And listen, let me tell you, that's not a bad strategy too. You know, you're more likely to get your aggressive winners in the morning. You rack up a good money off the aggressive, say in the first hour, then switch to your conservative. Now, just remember though, James, when you go to your conservative, your profit target and stop loss are going to be right at zero for both. Whatever money you've garnered on the aggressive is going to be put aside and yours. And the aggressive will not take another trade. But now you're looking at another $1,300 upside, and I'm going to set it at a very tight downside because I don't think the conservative system should take very many losers. I think it's very, very constrained. But that's not a bad strategy, and I would check it out. And I think that's something that we'll do here in the office too. I think that's really worth it. Hey, Rolf. Absolutely, Rolf. We can customize it for Forex. All we need to do is be able to understand the volatility of the instrument. Okay, that's all. I mean, the system, the underlying principles based on price kinetics are going to be operational for anything you want. It's just a matter of determining the nature of the movement. The reason the Russell is such an easy transition from the NASDAQ is it trades just as, you know, I mean, it's a high volatility. It's got normally a lot of volatility. It likes to really move. But I would trade the Forex with a version of the system that is conservative. And the Forex, I personally, Rolf, to give you my 2 cents, I really like the Forex as a swing trading platform because, you know, monetary policy, which is set by, you know, now central banks really are pretty, you know, they pretty much don't change too much. Obviously, every big piece of economic information has a chance to really make a big dent in any currency pair. But over the long haul, it's really those central banks that run the world. And between the United States and the Fed and all the Western European central banks. And I mean, the Chinese essentially have a central bank. They're the central bank. So these currencies tend to really trend. And I mean, if I told you I used to have an evening Forex room, and we did very well, going 4, 5, 6 pips, 7 pips, 8 pips. But now that I look at the Forex markets, I would just check it out and look at a longer term time frame. I mean, usually if the dollar weakens because of Fed policy, it's going to stay that way. And it's going to make huge moves. So that's just my 2 cents off of it, really. Hey, Mark B. Mark, wanted to let you know I have traded the aggressive template, and on 2 contracts it averaged $1,300 live for me between 8 and 11 a.m. I did use some discretion on target 2 when coming into zones. I use awesome work on this. So Mark, over 5 days, has made $1,300 trading it live. And he's using the aggressive template. Thanks for the info, Mark, and congrats. But he did use some discretion on target 2 when he saw it running into zones. He intervened and took the trade out, not waiting for it to change on so actually what he's using is really, he's letting the trade get in on the self-directed auto, and then sort of overseeing it and watching the runner. And let me tell you, that may be a great way to trade it, Mark. And congratulations, that's good money. So not just a scam call. It does work on the micros. I just want you to know that. And I told you, we're going to go over all the inputs. Do not worry. I'm going to have Sergio check everything. So the templates that go out in the afternoon will be perfect. I mean, there's no sense in chasing them now because what you've got and what I've got are different. And also what I've got is not necessarily what we're going to be sending out in the afternoon anyway. I'm going to have every single input looked at. Hey, Richard, 804 or 81. It does not matter, Richard, whether it's an 8040 or an 8140. It does not matter. The system, as you can see, will not allow you to have no candle body. So if the 0 is in there or the 1's in there, the candle body, the candles will be exactly the same. So that's a good question, and it's irrelevant. Obviously, we would not just want to stick, but this is really with a 1 setting. That's the smallest candle body the system will allow us to create. No, it can be back tested, Rosemary. We have back tested it. And as long as it has a wick and it has all this data, we can absolutely back test it, and we have back tested it. So I just didn't want to show you a lot of back testing data. I just wanted to show you 2 weeks of forward testing data, which I thought has a lot more relevance than anything that we've done back testing. I mean, Sergio's got reams of it. So we have back tested it. If it didn't work in back testing, I wouldn't have released it. So you can be. Hey, Gregory. Hey, Mark. Maybe instead of changing the aggressive, come up with a moderate template. Well, you know, Gregory, I'm not sure there really is one, but it's a thought. And let me tell you, I almost think that the moderate is letting the aggressive trade for you, and then almost using it as a way to trade. It's going to get you great entries now that you've got that 15 trend separation. It's going to, I mean, you're looking for a first target of 30 ticks. Let's see how it runs for a bit. You know, I'm going a lot by Sergio's intuition on this more aggressive strategy. He doesn't really want to do a moderate. Let's sort of like we've just, you know, like the baby's just been delivered. It's a normal spontaneous vaginal delivery of these. Let's just let them play out. The templates are going to change tomorrow, and you know, got an APGAR score of 10/10, which means that baby is pink and screaming and crying, which means it's really healthy. Let's just see how they trade on the new settings, and we'll take it from there. Believe me, I'm willing to do anything in terms of configuration and changes that will ultimately make us the most money. Hey, Danny. I'm trading input set at 7 and not 15. We have it at 7 too. I really, you know, I kind of went over that, Danny. I'm running out of air. Hey, listen, and all I did was just get Danny's numbers. So I mean, what can I say? Is there any indication where it tells the auto operation is running and making trades? That's a really good You know what? That's a really good thing. I have to bring that up to Sergio because I think there should be something that allows you to see when the auto is running and when it's locked and off. And that is a terrific idea. I'm going to write it down. Okay. Thank you. That's terrific input. Because in that little lower left-hand corner box that we're going to display, now I don't know the limits of the programming, but it's right here. I want to see if Sergio can configure another box with a dot, and that will show us when the auto trader is actually running. And that would be really, really, I think, a big plus. And let's see when it's off. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Andrew. The two I haven't yet. Get back to me. I will, Andrew. I'm sorry. Do you know that I have 400 emails I haven't read yet today? I'm about ready to commit suicide. I told you I was with someone all day today. I didn't have a chance to even go into my mailbox. I have emails from yesterday. I have all those Benzinga emails. I literally have 400 to 500 emails. I promise you I'll get back to you, Andrew. Hey, Gord. Should be able to graph the results to show drawdowns. Listen, if this was my system, I would be able to do it, but I don't have any data. Remember when I closed the trading room, I closed everything down. I'm not going to do that anymore. Someone in the office is going to run this system 24/7, or at least between 9:30 in the morning and 4 p.m. I just don't have that data because I got it from Danny. Well, listen, Ed, we back tested it between 9:30 and noon. So to the extent that he told you, he's correct. And the reason we did that was because in the summer months, the 9:30 to noon is when you get all the juicy trades. After 12 o'clock, it seems like the market dies. But Danny let the system run, and it seems to have gotten some great trades. You saw it in the middle of the night. Now, I can't tell you if these middle of the night trades were executed because of the volume trigger. I mean, maybe there weren't 400 contracts crossing per minute of time. There's no way for me to know. All I'm trying to do is just give you a concrete, and you're right, 9:30 to noon is when we did the auto trading back testing. And that was because that's the highest period of time when the volume is, the best. And you're not going to have a volume trigger issue. But looking at it now, I think we should do a test. But this is how you learn. I think we should do a test and let the system run for the full session. But what Sergio told you is correct. Hey, Shalendra, you can set the timings. And when they come tomorrow, I'm going to have them set at 9:30 to noon. But I'm going to have them set, and I'm going to even if I have to make a little video, I'll show you where to go to change the times. Okay? So you can change the trading times at your discretion. Hey, Gregory. Danny trades live, Gregory. I can just tell you that. Danny is done with sim, and that is the truth. Now, I think, I'm not going to say anything about that, but that is his live performance. He sets everything on live, and that's the first thing I asked Danny. That's a great question. Okay, we don't have a thinkorswim. I purchased a system, but I'm rather lost. Yes, Sharon, don't worry. Rory, did Sharon get all the educational videos? Yeah, we'll resend you all the educational videos, Sharon. Go through them. If you have any issues, why don't you call me and I'll go through everything with you. If not, we'll do a webinar. Hey, Stacy, I want to try to move a little quicker because Sergio, Rory leaves at 6, and I don't want to be here alone, only because Rory and I have stuff we need to go over. What template do you use to get the chart setups? It's a separate template, Stacy, that comes with the system. So it's really unique. I don't mind giving it to you, even if you don't own the system, but you can see that this is the template and this is very different. Now, this is the aggressive template, and I don't mind giving it to you if you would like it. Okay, so just let me know and we'll send you the template. Mark, is the money flow tracker the same software under the name of the Compass? No. The Compass is for Thinkorswim, Andrew. The money flow is for NinjaTrader 8. They're just the same system, Andrew, on different platforms. So they do the exact same thing, they're just configured different. I hopefully, you know, I mean, there is no Compass for NinjaTrader 8, and there is no money flow tracker for Thinkorswim. Sure, Andrew, that will do. Rory do that. Mark, he was using my exact settings. That's the other thing I cannot tease apart. I got one JPEG for the aggressive, one for the conservative. The aggressive made twice as much as the conservative, but the settings he used were the exact ones I sent him. That I can tell you. I mean, Danny doesn't do any tweaking. And I speak to Danny almost every night. I mean, he calls me, and I mean, he's been my friend for 25 years. So I know, yeah, he doesn't tweak anything. Shalendra, I would run them right now for two and a half hours. I would still go for the meat of the trading day, 9:30 to noon during the summer, when the markets have a tendency after 12 o'clock to just die. Now, you're protected with that volume trigger. If volume dies, volatility dies, it won't trade. But I would still, it would still be my inclination, although I'm going to let it run all the time, because I want to create an equity curve for 9:30 to noon, and then one from noon to 4 p.m. and see what kind of trades it will take in the afternoon. Now that I see, I'm getting a little bit better feel and understand more about the system. But that's what I would recommend because of summer months. I would use the conservative template. That's my predisposition. And I would trade it for 2.5 hours. And if it doesn't take any trades, I wouldn't care. We've loosened it up. The new template's going to have an MA diff that's bigger. It's going to be more inclined. I remember that when the conservative took 3 trades in one day. It just hasn't set up. So it's okay with me. But we are loosening it up a little bit. Okay. Hey, Daniel. Mark, if we want to make our targets be less points. Listen, Daniel, I can't run a back test. It's so involved that to do it for one person is too time consuming. And I'm just being honest with you. I mean, if you knew the hourly wage I pay Sergio, I mean, he's really expensive. And so I can't do back testing for one person. I mean, we have no company. If you could get a bunch of people with you who like your inputs, I mean, for half dozen people, I'll run a back test. But it takes time and effort. And I mean, I'm just not, you know, I just don't want to say no, but I want to let you know why it's just tough. And remember, if I say yes to you, I got to say yes to everyone. And then every time somebody comes in with one new parameter, I'm going to have to back test for them. And I want to, because I want to always be even-handed. So that's a little rough, Danny. If you don't, I hope you don't mind me calling you Danny. Did Danny just trade NQ or did he trade? No, he just traded the NQ, Frank. He only has what you have. We have not released the Russell template to anyone because it's not done. So Danny only traded the NQ and nothing else. We can give you 2 licenses, Dollar. That is never an issue. We've been doing that for the last decade. Everyone runs, you know, so many people have a laptop and a desktop that we're just not the kind of company that's going to charge you extra money for a second license. We will for a third, but for 2 licenses, no. Hey, Rosemary, on my control panel, my parameters is different from Danny's. Does it mean that my NQ system is wrong? Well, here's what I would do, Rosemary. Do not worry about any inputs on the templates you have because they're going to be changed. Look at your templates tomorrow afternoon when you get the upgrade. Then, if there's anything that's different, I promise you, you and Danny are going to be trading the same inputs because Danny's going to take the same template I send you and Danny's going to stick it in his computer too. So you're all going to be on the same page. I know, you know, sometimes advice is given out in the morning or Sergio gives advice over the phone, you know, and people have made tweaks. But when we start tomorrow on the new templates, every single person will have the exact same inputs, Rosemary. I understand your concern and I'd be concerned too. But with the new rollout, you are covered. Okay, Graham, thank you. Why do we need a live trading room if it's algo? Well, James, a lot of people want to trade discretionarily. Remember, I mean, we do really well in that live trading room. So, I mean, if you want to knock a mouse and trade too, it's just another way to make money. So, and you know, again, I don't want to run overtime, but ultimately, you know, at some point in the future, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe an algorithmic system, maybe we develop it. I don't know. Maybe someone who has $50 million, like JP Morgan, will develop it. But some automated algorithmic system will be so terrific that there will be no discretionary trading, that it will be all done automated. And it's very possible. I mean, pretty soon McDonald's, you're going to get your hamburgers from a machine. So it's very possible. Right now, we clear a nice profit in the room. And until that doesn't happen, we're going to be there in the morning because it's worth your time. It's certainly not worth your time to lose money, but it's worth your time to make it. Hey, David. Sorry, got in late. David, tell your wife just to schedule our appointments at a different time. What are the 2 yellow lines? I'm not sure. Oh, those are Bollinger Bands. And it will not take a trade inside them. It's part of the algorithm. You will never see an execution because they're what they're supposed to be. Where's our 50? The 50 is right here. It's supposed to be a half standard deviation off on each end. Unfortunately, let me make sure these Bollinger Bands are set right. They are, because this is where you get that 50 hugger and price just sort of sticks right near the 50. we want to trade right near it, but not on top of it. So we added that in. That is not a default setting. If it turns out it's restricting trades, we'll make it a default setting. But that's what those are, David. Hey, Abby. Abir, I will call you tomorrow. I mean, after the webinar, I got to spend about half an hour with Rory, or we won't be able to move forward. And then I have to go into a coma. I mean, really, I'm so tired. Hey, Rory, did you get Abir's number? Okay, Rory's guys, promise you, without fail, cross my heart, I will call you tomorrow afternoon, Abir, right after we finish trading. I promise you. Hey, Don, do you recommend running Rothschild? Right now, if you're on Sim, yes, especially with the new template. With the new templates we're going to send. There's no downside. Get a good feel for both systems. We're going to start going over all the trades. I didn't do that before, but I'm just going to extend the trading room out a little bit. But we're going to start looking at the trades now that we all understand what we're looking for, only when the new templates are out. So tomorrow we're not going to, but on Friday, we're going to look at every trade taken by the conservative and by the aggressive system. So we'll look at our discretionary trading, our aggressive system, and our conservative system. And we're going to start to get a great feel for what the systems are thinking, what trades they're taking, and if there's any way we can make them trade better. So we're going to go over everything every single day. Okay? Hey, Rolf. Yes, we could customize it for all Forex, Rolf. I mean, I'm looking at the 12 currency pairs that have the highest volume, which I assume are the ones you'd like to trade. The highest volume markets, I just don't remember what they are. I mean, I traded them about 4 or 5 years ago. I had a Forex, I've told traders, I had a Forex trading room at 2 a.m. I just couldn't maintain it because of my son. I mean, at that time, he was 15, and I just couldn't get up for school. I just couldn't keep going up in bed. But they trade fairly similarly. So we don't have to optimize each market individually. So it's not that problematic, and we can do it. When the RUT template will be available, and by the end of the week, Eric, we'll have it. I'll flog Sergio with a noodle and we'll get it done. Hey, Don. Then what about minimum balance do you need? Don, it all depends upon the minimum drawdown you set in the system and your profit targets, how much you're looking to make. So it's really it's really a matter of risk management, and this is the wrong place to look, but it's really right here. Now, you can never open up a system that's enabled. If you want to open it up, you got to go to a disabled system. Now, if you want to trade the aggressive system, you're going to need more money, Don. If you want to just trade in the trading room, I think you only need about maybe 2,500 or $3,000, and just trade on a discretionary basis. If you want to trade the conservative, I think you can get away also with about $3,000. I mean, the conservatives were really going to take a loser, and I would set the auto for one loser. So you're just going to have to figure out how much a full loser would be. If you're trading 2 contracts on 40 ticks, your full loser is going to be $600. It's actually less. It's going to be $400. That's how much you'll take. Well, a full loser will be if it doesn't go 1 tick in your direction. So 25 to 3,000 is more than enough. And you can also trade the micros, which would take that account size down even more. So start small, start gently. Don't be in a rush. and you really don't need a lot of money. You'll see that $2,500 will carry a long way, especially on the micros. And you should start with paper trading to the micros and then to the full contract. That's a nice progression. You'll know, you'll be really self-assured that you're very likely to make good money. Hey, hi. What do I need to run both strategies at the same time? Well, listen, I think you're going to need about 5,000, 4,000 for both at the same time. Remember, they can each take a trade at the same time. They're independent systems, and you can be in 2 trades at once. And the 1 in a million, which is the when Jupiter eclipses Uranus, and you could be in 3, because you could pull a conservative and aggressive, and we could take a trade in the room. That's going to be very unlikely, but I think you're going to need about 5,000 for that. But remember, you can always trade the micros, Jay, and drop that number hugely. Hey, Daniel. Mark, both conservative and aggressive strategies show the color background. Remember, the aggressive doesn't use the color background. Only the conservative does. Now, I'm going to, I have the template set. Hold on. Let me load back the full template. Hopefully, I've got it somewhere here. Rory, do you have a template name? You know what, Daniel? I'll have Sergio make a template. See, I knocked out a couple of things here. We're just running so late. We're an hour and 19 minutes over. But the background bias and a lot of the other indicators are important for the conservative. We'll build a template for each. And these are all things I'm writing down because I really like these ideas. So I will absolutely have them, and they'll all go out tomorrow. Now I'm going to have to go really quickly because Jay, let's take the NASDAQ, the Russell, one instrument at a time. Okay, Jay, we can go to the E-mini. We just need to find a target, and we just need to optimize it. Hey, Rosemary, has 4 NQ algos trading, is it allowed? Yes, it's allowed, Rosemary. Absolutely. Do I have to open an account with the system? Yes. Well, if you want to make money, you do, Javier. I mean, you need a broker. You need a NinjaTrader broker if we want to actually trade live. You do. Okay. Listen, I'm going to kind of call it here. Mark, I have been in and out. Do you have any? We haven't made an EX market yet, Alex. We're going to go to the ES, I promise you. A lot of traders want to trade it. We can master it. After we go to the Russell, gold, and crude, we'll swing back to the E-mini. Those are EMAs, dollar. These are EMAs of EMAs. They're actually special lines that we made ourselves. No one else has them but us. And if I had the time, I would put in a regular EMA over our 15 EMA of an EMA, and you see that they have different properties, but they're exponentials. They're not simples. Well, Andre, the battle room is about teaching. The trading room is all about making successful dollars, if you catch my drift. It's an educational service, and I can't go into making a ton load of money, but obviously we want the trading room And we want to use that to apply all the education we've learned in the battle room on options, stocks, options, futures, Forex, cryptos, what we've learned about price kinetics and market movement, apply it successfully, and make ourselves extremely happy with the education that we have garnered. Okay, Andre? What if I want 5 runners with profit-based exits on each? It's not configured for that complexity, Jay. That we can't do. We would have to redo the whole system. At least not yet. I can tell you that. We only have the complexity to target all your runners out on a change in the 15. Oh, thank you, Gerald. Gerald said, I agree, this is one unbelievably great system. And I appreciate that, Gerald. And I was worried about you today. Today was a really rugged market. Don't say anything. Talk to me tomorrow. I don't want, I hope you're able to sidestep a lot of the stuff today, because today was not an easy day to trade. And I sincerely was worried, Gerald. Hey, Dollar, Canada Trades Instruments, we're going to get around to them, Dollar. I mean, remember, like I said, this is a newborn baby. I want to get it perfect on the markets we're trading, and then we can rack it around. And there will not be a market we can't trade. And we'll go to the currencies. And I mean that. The more markets that we can trade, the more likely you will take the conservative setting. And therefore, I believe, just sitting here on my duff, you're going to create a better equity curve, because you're not going to be inclined to want to get the trades when that conservative sits silently on one instrument. It won't sit silently on 5. So I want to get it moving and rolling on more. Hey, Leon. All right, I'm not going to read it out loud, Leon, but it's a good point about the VWAP. Is the way to show the trailing stop lines during a trade. I don't know, John. I'll have to talk to Sergio about that. I really will. I don't think so, though, because remember, Chart Trader has to be rotated on your chart to one market, and that's going to be the market we're trading. So I can't, it's only going to show on this chart if we enable Chart Trader. So you're going to need a separate chart. And if you enable Chart Trader, your stops and targets will all be projected. You're just going to need a separate chart to do it. That it's possible. Christopher, it's a great idea in the future. He's talking about alerts to mobile. Absolutely. No, Jack, I want to use something separate than the market analyzer. We need something that's always in front of us, like that little window. And that's what, I really like, just a red dot, just a green dot or a red dot. And I want that window down there all the time. So that's what I would really like to go with. I'm not committing suicide, don't worry. The pitch sessions are Eastern time. I think you're going to need to switch them. Now, I know oh, thank you, Paul. All right, listen, I'm going to have to go. There's still a lot of questions, but I'm so worn out. Was purchased. Listen, Andrew, just call Rory. I tell you, he'll straighten it out. I promise you, he'll straighten. He will make you happy. I will tell Rory when he sits down here, whatever you want, we'll make you happy. Okay, Andrew? I don't even have time to read it, but it doesn't matter what you want. Well, you're a really nice guy. I really like you in the room. Your comments are really great. And it's not just because you're complimentary or uncomplimentary. It's just because you're really trying hard. And I respect that. And so we're going to work hard for you. So whatever tweaks and stuff you want, we'll take care of. And I'll tell Rory right now to take care of that for you. So listen, everyone, thank you so much. this will be available on a disc, on a closed video on YouTube. Everyone who's registered will get the link. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, everyone. And we're always going to be working to make this better. Now, tomorrow is sort of a forget about the system day, where Sergio is going to be updating the templates, getting them perfect, and sending them out tomorrow, but not till I finish trading and I get a chance to review every number. Then they're all going to go out with a chart template like this. So you're actually going to be able to see the trades if you want to, by just enabling Chart Trader. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and I'll see you in the trading room tomorrow. Take care. Again, have a great night and have a really good dinner. Bye-bye, everybody.